Sukiutu and a very good evening, everyone. Welcome back once again to the MSBS Weekly Guided Meditation by Phra Goh. Today is the 24th of October, 31st of October, 2023. I'd like to extend a great welcome to all new viewers to this channel. We are very grateful to have with us Bhante Adhibalo, popularly known as Phra Goh, to conduct this weekly session. Bhante was born on July 14, 1985 and was ordained under the tradition of Thai Dhamma sect at 74 Small Street, Johor, Malaysia in 2008. Currently, Bhante is the religious advisor to Buddhist Youth Network Singapore and has been conducting our weekly Tuesday guided meditation since July 2020. This week, Bhante will be continuing on the subject on the 10 perfections. Just a gentle reminder, next week we are having a private session. Then the week after that, on the 14th of November, there won't be any session because Bhante will be in overseas. Now let us compose our minds, put our palms together and welcome Bhante to start today's session. Over to you, Bhante.
Okay, thank you, Terence, for the intro and announcement. So we start off with paying respects to the Buddha by bowing 3 times. First bow, second bow, third bow. And the opening chant, homage. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. 3 refuges. Buddhaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi. Dhammaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi. Saṅghāṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi. Dutiyampi Buddhaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi. Dutiyampi Dhammaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi. Dutiyampi Saṅghāṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi. Tatiyampi Buddhaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi. Tatiyampi Dhammaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi. Tatiyampi Saṅghāṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi. And the 5 precepts. Pāṇātipada Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami. Adinādāna Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami. Kāmesu Micchācārā Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami. Musāvādā Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami. Surameraya Majjapamadatthāna Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay, so good evening, everyone. Welcome to the, I think, the 3rd session of this 10 Perfection series. So for the past 2 lessons, we've introduced the past Buddhas and what are the 10 perfections. Right, so today we'll carry on with this talking point whether these 10 perfections are actually found in the main Nikayas. Right, so I've already highlighted the suttas on the right. So every quality, like for example, dana or giving on the left, there is like a sutta on the right which talks about a practice that leads to sainthood or even liberation. So that's the Buddha's teaching, at least in the Theravada Sutta. Our current Buddha didn't teach his disciples to take on a bodhisattva path. No, the Buddha didn't sort of ask his disciples to train and become a future Sammasambuddha, or train to be a future silent Buddha. Right? So all the scriptures are asking the monks to train and reach liberation as soon as possible. That means to reach this Arahant path. Yes? And because of this, we are going to look back at the previous slide on the 28 Buddhas. Okay, so if you look at the 28 Buddhas, we look at the last column. Okay, so the first column talks about the different Buddhas of the previous eons, many eons, so total 28. And the furthest column on the right talks about our own historical Buddha, Sakyamuni Buddha. In his past lives, when did he meet the different Buddhas? So for the first Buddha, Tanhankara Buddha, our Sakyamuni Bodhisattva didn't meet him. Likewise, the second one, this Vedankara Buddha, also never meet. So until the fourth one, Dipankara Buddha. So at the time of Dipankara Buddha, he was this ascetic Sumedha. So our Sakyamuni Bodhisattva was ascetic Sumedha according to this Buddha Vangsa. And surprisingly, all the Buddhas after Dipankara didn't have the spirit of our current Theravada Sakyamuni Buddha. That means they did not teach and ask their disciples to get enlightened straight away. Right? So he was allowed to sort of delay. Right? Also many Buddhas he met. Right? He met this Dipankara Buddha, Kondanya Buddha, so on and so forth. And none of them are able to sort of give him the teaching that turn him into an Arya, right? At least at this point of view. So many eons. So we have interesting contradiction. So either the main Nikayas have been heavily censored, and this Buddha Vangsa, this list of 28 Buddhas, is like the gateway to the more holistic kind of early Buddhism, which opened the doors to Mahayana Buddhism, right? Or we talk about the Mahayana Buddhism, some of the scriptures are correct. The Buddha in the Mahayana scriptures talk about the Buddha, Sakyamuni Buddha, teaching the monks or teaching his current disciples to aim for Buddhahood, take on the Bodhisattva path and aim for Buddhahood. So that's the spirit of Mahayana Buddhist scripture. So we have these two possibilities. Either the Mahayana scripture in spirit, they contain some truth, or the Theravada Nikayas have been heavily censored of this Bodhisattva path, except leaving this Buddha Vangsa behind. Alright, so these are the two possibilities. Okay, so now we go back to these 10 perfections again. Okay, so using just the current Theravada suttas, we are just going to talk about how each quality can actually lead to different levels of sainthood, or even some of them even like enlightenment. So for the first one, like this giving, dana, this generosity, perfection of generosity. Although the suttas never mention it as a perfection, the suttas did mention by practicing generosity and with the right intention, a person can become a saint, become an Arya. And the highest of this particular sutta, Dana Sutta, Anguttara Nikaya 7.49, mentions that if a person reflects correctly, to the extent that giving is just a condition, it's just, I think the description talks about like giving is like a conch shell or something for the mind. So basically, in short, it means the practicing of giving is just a condition to perfect the mind, to purify the mind. And because of this, a person can be reborn as Brahma. And from then on, they can even upgrade to become the beings in a pure abode and reach full enlightenment. So that's for the Dana Sutta. Right? That's the first one. And the second one, virtue, and virtue or morality. So we have this Salayaka Sutta that talks about these 10 merits and 10 demeritorious deeds. Right, so basically, this means your 5 precepts. Okay, so what are the 10 meritorious deeds? That means a person, if they do not have thoughts of greed, hatred, delusion, 3 for thoughts, 4 for speech, do not tell lies, harsh speech, idle chatter, divisive speech, and the last 3 is the actions, killing, stealing, sexual misconduct. So total 10, 3 for 3, right? 10. So 10 meritorious deeds, if you uphold them very well, you do not indulge in any of these demeritorious things. And the Buddha mentioned, interestingly, upon death, that practitioner can make an aspiration. If they wish, they can be reborn in a wealthy family. Or if they wish, they can be reborn in an influential family in the human realm. Or if they wish, they can upgrade. They want to be reborn in the different whole spectrum of these heavenly realms, including the Brahma worlds. And better still, the last one, upon death, he may even wish to experience Nibbana, become an Arahant, here and now. And it is also possible, the Buddha says possible. So, these 10 meritorious deeds is like introducing like this, like how do you call this, in the Mahayana or the Tibetan tradition, a person can aspire to come back. Can choose which realm you want to come back. Right? So this is an interesting sutta. Right? You can choose to come back. But of course, if a person wants to choose to enter into Parinibbana, become an Arahant, also can. Right? So this is the Salayaka Sutta in this Majjhima Nikaya 41. And the next one, you have this renunciation, this Nekkhamma Parami. So renunciation, according to this Charya Pitaka. So Charya Pitaka talks about renunciation parami as leaving your home to homelessness. That is called renunciation. And they subdivide it in the commentaries of this Charya Pitaka, divide it as if a person renounce external things and leave the life of home to homelessness, that is just the very superficial kind of renunciation perfection. And if let's say they because they want to renounce their limbs, then that is Nekkhamma Upaparami. That means it's a higher kind of renunciation. And if they want to renounce their life from home to homelessness, then it's called the Paramatta Parami, renunciation Paramatta Parami. So that's their explanation. So now let's go back to this Theravada Sutta. Okay, so there's this interesting sutta. I think it's called this Tapusa Sutta. So if I'm not wrong, Tapusa is one of the merchants, if I'm not wrong, is one of the merchants that offered the food to the Buddha. So there are two merchants. So Tapusa is one of them, and offered their first meal to the Buddha. Or maybe they are people of the same name. So the Buddha mentioned this teaching, that he's able to renounce from home to homelessness, and the Buddha mentioned that is just one form of renunciation. And the Buddha mentioned there are deeper kinds of renunciation. So the Buddha mentioned if a person were to renounce sensuality and enter the first level of concentration, that is another kind of renunciation. And if they renounce the first level of concentration, this first jhana, and enter the second jhana, so that's another kind of renunciation, so on and so forth, all the way to the various formless concentrations, and even up to cessation, which is one of the highest kind of renunciation. So this is renunciation being mentioned in this Tapusa Sutta. So renunciation is same as concentration. So interestingly, in the 10 perfections here, there is no perfection in concentration. Whereas in the Mahayana perfections, Mahayana, the 6 paramita, 6 perfections, one of them have perfection in concentration. So I will equate this renunciation paramita as the same as concentration. Similar or the same. Right, so that is the, at least the sutta mentions, is like the equivalent. Okay, and then the next one talks about this wisdom, Panya Parami. And interestingly, there's this particular sutta, Panya Vimutti Sutta. Panya Vimutti, that means Panya means wisdom, Vimutti means liberation. So this sutta is talking about liberation by wisdom. And this sutta again contradicts the commentaries. So in the commentaries they talk about, or post-canonical ideology, they will believe that Panya Vimutti, liberation by wisdom, means a practitioner needs to enter the first 4 jhanas, first 4 level of concentration, followed by vipassana meditation. So they need to do vipassana meditation until they reach full enlightenment. So they call this Panya Vimutti. So that is the commentarial understanding of Panya Vimutti. Whereas in this sutta is very different. The Panya Vimutti Sutta talks about at any level of jhana, at any level of concentration. A person can be at the first level of concentration, a person can be at the formless level of concentration. They can also reflect and practice insight within that concentration. So when they are in that concentration, they practice reflection and they have this liberation. So that is this Panya Vimutti, at least in the Sutta's edition. So there's a lot of difference in the commentaries and the Suttas. Okay, and the next one is this Virya, this Nimitta Sutta. So you can read yourself. Similar with Mahanama Sutta. So in the Mahanama Sutta, talks about the 6 recollections. 6 recollection. So the 6 recollection is the recollecting the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha. So that's the first 3 recollections. And you have the recollection of your virtue, which is the same as this virtue, this sila, perfection, morality, perfection of morality. And you have the next one, Chaganusati, talks about perfection in generosity. And you have this thing called Chaganusati, reflection of your, not just your generosity, but also your virtues, all your good deeds you've done. All the good deeds you've done. So that's the 6 recollection. So patience is also considered a person's virtue, right? Your honesty, your truthfulness, all these are part of these your virtues. So if a person were to reflect on these virtues over and over again, any of the 6 recollections, the last one talks about recollection of Deva, Devatanusati, mindful of the Deva's qualities, and if they are reflecting on these virtues over and over again, they can also activate these factors of awakening. Right? So this is the so-called power of this reflection of these virtues. So in the Mahanama Sutta, and you have this determination, Dhatu Vibhanga Sutta, talk about tenacity. So a person is have a determination, is mentioned in this sutta, also can reach liberation. And then the next one is loving kindness. So we talked about many suttas on loving kindness. The Karaniya Metta Sutta or the Mettang Sutta also talks about liberation, not just metta, but also the 4 Brahma Viharas. So Upeka is included, right, in this Mettang Sutta. So they all mention about this reaching the highest goal, even maximum arahanthood. All right, so this is the Theravada's so-called version of the 10 perfections, at least taught in the Theravada's suttas. Right, a person can reach liberation if they practice some of these suttas. Right, that's the maximum. So if that is the case, then is there a need to go through such many rebirths, right? So we are going to now compare with the Mahayana version of the Bodhisattva stages. So this is just an excerpt from the, I think the Tibetan tradition of the stages and paths of the Bodhisattvas by Patrul Rinpoche. Right, so this is the 5 paths and 10 stages. So what are the 5 paths? So the first path talks about path of accumulation. Basically, accumulate lots of merits and do lots of good deeds, generate lots of positive thoughts from body, speech, and mind. And they always talk about having the highest intention called bodhicitta. Whatever you do, it's for the welfare of all beings and to quickly reach enlightenment. So that is the bodhicitta. So interestingly, they wish to quickly reach enlightenment. So very similar to, by right, similar to Theravada. But in Theravada Buddhism, there's not much mention of this intention. Alright, so maybe we can learn a bit from them, bodhicitta. Okay, so interestingly, the first stage alone, you need to gather so much merit until you develop psychic ability. So one of the examples here, travel miraculously to the fields where Buddhas actually reside. So in Mahayana Buddhism, they have the concept of pure lands. Pure lands. So this is not found in Theravada scripture. So Theravada scripture doesn't have pure land. So if a person at the first stage, first path only, gather so much merit until they have the ability to travel, may not be physically, maybe through their mind or whatever it is, travel and visit other Buddhas. So that is the first path only alone. So this first path only, I think, kind of eliminate most candidates really. So most people not easy to achieve. So there are other schools of, I think, Mahayana Buddhism. They will tell you the shortcut probably is to go to Pure Land. That means they aspire to be reborn in Pure Land. So once you are sort of reborn with probably Deva-like abilities, you have all the psychic ability once you're born, then you can do all this. So that is their so-called one of the hacks, You don't have to even achieve it in a human form. So that is the first path. Okay, then the second path of joining, cultivating the 5 powers. So the 5 powers you also can find in Theravada Buddhism, the 5 spiritual faculties. First one is faith, second one is energy, third one is mindfulness, fourth one is concentration, fifth one is wisdom. So total 5 powers. And the third one, the path of seeing. So only the third one then activate these 7 factors of awakening. So at the third one, then it's either the path or the fruition to Sotapanna. At least my point of view. So at the third path, then they sort of touch or delve into the Theravada kind of territory. Okay, then the fourth one, the path of meditation. So it is only at the fourth path, then they start to talk of the beginning of the 10 stages. So bhumis means stages. So total they have 10 bhumis, 10 stages. And eventually the fifth one, the path of no more learning. So the 11 bhumi means completion. That means they reach their enlightenment. So this is their bodhisattvas, 5 paths and 10 stages. So let's look at the 10 stages. So starting from the 4th path, we're going to detail the next slide. Okay, so on the left column, you can see all the different stages. Bhumi means stages. So first stage all the way to the 11th stage. Right? So the first stage to 11th stage. And the second column talks about the name of the stages. So the first stage is called perfect joy. And what are they perfecting? Right, so the next column, the third column, talks about the perfections, the paramitas, the paramis or the paramitas. So what are they perfecting? So they have also 10 perfections, but different sets of 10 perfections, and different from the Theravada 10 perfections. So even though Mahayana talks about 6 perfections, they also have 10 perfections. So they have a set of 6 and a set of 10. Basically, you can interchange any of the qualities, any of the virtues, and because all of these virtues are good virtues. And the last one can take birth as, right? So the last column talks about the different realms you can take birth as. Okay, so what I want you all to focus is the 10th bhumi. The 10th bhumi. So the 10th bhumi is actually the last column. Can take birth as a ruler of the gods of a pure realm. So if a person practices this bodhisattva path, they can be reborn in a pure abode. So their 10th bhumi is equivalent to the 3rd stage of sainthood, non-returner. Non-returner, at least from this description. And anything before that could be the Sotapanna, stream enterer, all the way to this non-returner. Right, so you have all the various realms. So the first one, ruler of Jambudvipa, right? The first bhumi in Jambudvipa means the earth. That means become a universal king. So if a person perfect their generosity, they might be qualified to become a universal monarch, universal king. And the second one, ruler of the 4 continents. So these 4 continents talk about 4 heavenly kings. 4 heavenly kings. So the second bhumi talks about the heavenly realm. Heavenly realm. So the third one also heavenly realm. They have the perfection of patience, perfection of diligence, right, and the perfection of meditation, right, and the perfection of wisdom, born into Sita. So interestingly, we know that all the future Buddhas have to queue up in Tusita. But interestingly, they are not aiming to queue up in Tusita because they have higher perfections. Right? So you have these 7 Bhumi also higher than Tusita already. Ruler of this controlling others emanation. So basically that is the Mara's realm. Mara's realm. Then the next one, ruler of the first order of universe of 1,000 realms. Sorry, ruler of controlling, so I think, ruler of controlling others emanation should be this Paranimita Vasavati Deva, then followed by probably Brahma's retinue, then followed by the 9th Bhumi is Brahma, the ruler of this sort of universe also, So you have the different levels of Brahma, different courts, different retinues, and we talk about the pure abodes and the 10th Bhumi, and eventually the 11th Bhumi is complete and full enlightenment, and they never mention which rebirth. So that is equivalent to an Arahant, right? Fully enlightened. So that is the Mahayana or the Tibetan Mahayanas 10 stages or the 11 stages. Alright, so I stop my sharing for today and we'll open the floor to Q&A. Any questions?
I have a question.
Okay.
All the past Buddhas, they are come from royal family.
Not necessary, not all from royal families. Some of them are from the Brahmin families.
Oh, because just now your part show that the mother and the father.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not that all of them come. The parents are king and queen.
Yeah, at least from that table, not all. Yeah, even in the suttas, the Nikayas, the Digha Nikayas talk about the past 7 Buddhas. Also, some of them are not from royal families.
Thank you, but
Okay, no problem. So basically, they will just choose which social class status is more influential. Yeah, so if let's say the current society is not ruled by these soldiers, but ruled by maybe religious leaders or by shamans or whatever, then they'll take birth, right? They'll take birth as these prominent figures, these Brahmin households. Yep. Susan pointed out to this probably 27, 26, and 25. Right, so the father and mothers are not kings and queens. So they are different social class status.
Bante, if I'm not wrong, Bante said can see Buddha. Is it Bante? Yes, no?
Can see Buddha.
Yes.
Or when did I say that? Oh yeah, the Mahayana path, right? Yeah, Mahayana path. So in the Mahayana path, the first path alone, they need to have the ability to see other Buddhas in other lands, in other pure lands.
It means the 26 Buddhas all in the pure land. Is it Bante?
Oh no. So the 28 Buddhas are except all the 28 Buddhas are past Buddhas. Even our historical Buddha is also considered a past. So they no longer sort of, I won't say exist. Yeah, they are no longer in a samsara. Whereas in the Mahayana tradition, they have the multiverse kind of concept. So not just in this universe, they believe currently there are still other Buddhas still alive, but not in this world. So that's why if let's say you go to some funeral ceremonies, the Mahayana funeral, the wakes and ceremonies, they play the tape, the chanting, they chant the Amitabha name, because they believe the Amitabha is still alive, but in the Pure Land, the Western Pure Land. So they aspire to be reborn in the Pure Land there, to meet the Amitabha Buddha.
So if they meet Amitabha Buddha, they become a Buddha, Bante?
Eventually, because first they need to go through the Bodhisattva training, then eventually, if they finish the goal, then become a Buddha.
So in this slide is at the 10 Bhumis, Bante.
Yeah, this slide is before the 10 Bhumis. So the first Bhumi starts at the point 4, the fourth path.
Mm.
So even before the 10 stages, there are prerequisites. So the first path alone is before the 10 stages. So the first path, this path of accumulation, needs you to accumulate lots of merits. So that particular stage already require the practitioner to travel and see other Buddhas.
Mm. Then the 11th Bhumi is for Buddha also, Bante.
Yeah, so because theirs is perfect enlightenment, so they might call it Supreme Buddha. So, but because the chart is very similar to our Theravada 4 stages, so I will just it might be it's equivalent to the mind of Arahant also, fully enlightened mind.
A bit new for me, Bante. So what is different about 10 than 11, Bante?
Okay, we go to the next slide.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the 10, sorry, the 11 Bhumis, 11 stages. Okay, so the first 10 talks about perfecting different qualities, different perfections. Some of them not in our Theravada perfections, like number 7, you have this perfection of skillful means, not part of our Theravada 10 perfections. And you have this number 8, paramita of strength, perfection of strength. Yeah, and then you have the 10th one, perfection of primordial wisdom. So you have another wisdom on number 6, the 6th perfection, right? Paramita of wisdom. Then you have another one, paramita of primordial wisdom, so double wisdom. So they have more things. Okay, so it is only at the 11th. Then they call it complete and full enlightenment. And they never mention which rebirth. So that's the end, complete enlightenment.
So, Bante, I'm thinking is 11 Bhumi is for Buddha and Arahat, is it, Bante? So 10 Bhumi is for...
They are bodhisattvas, yeah.
Oh, 10 Bhumi for Bodhisattva, is it?
Yeah, for their Mahayana bodhisattvas.
So Bodhisattva is the future Buddha, is it, Bante?
So because this is the Mahayana table, so we use the Sanskrit term bodhisattva. Yeah, so even though the Mahayana bodhisattva aim for Sammasambuddha, for this supreme Buddha, coincidentally these 10 stages also fit very well with the Theravada 4 stages of sainthood. And the Theravada sort of aim for the Sāvaka Buddha or the Arahant. Yeah.
So it's like 10th and 11 for the Arahat and Buddha have a like silent Buddha, and then Sammasambuddha, is it like that?
Okay, down here never mention about silent Buddha. So usually the Mahayana, they will aim for Supreme Buddha, Sammasambuddha. Yeah, so this is on the slide that talks about different kind of Buddhas. So for the Theravada Buddhism, the suttas that I mentioned indicate the third category, hero Buddha, Savaka Buddha or the Arahant. But interestingly, the 10 Tibetan or the Mahayana 10 Bodhisattva stages also have a lot of similarities with what these Savaka Buddha have to go through, the Arahant path have to go through.
Thank you, Bante. Sorry.
Okay, no problem. Okay, anyone else? Okay, Eileen, you have something?
Yeah, Bante. So basically, it's still different. We are all practicing for different attainments. Like
Yeah.
for example, the Mahayana, they aspire to go to the Pure Land. But for us, I mean, Buddha encouraged us to reach arahantship. So it's still very different, right? The teaching. So what I see, in fact, I'm a bit confused with the 28 Buddhas because Buddha only able to see 6 Buddhas before him, but then we have so many Buddhas. So these are all from Mahayana side. Ours, like you say, we sometimes it's like when you practice together, right? That's where all the difference comes in, I think.
Yeah, so the table of the 28 Buddhas come from the Theravada Buddha Vamsa. Yeah, Theravada. So the 6 Buddhas before that comes from like the Digha Nikayas. Yeah, so you are kind of correct. So I was mentioning right from the beginning. So the Buddha Vamsa, some of the scholars suspect or might come to a conclusion that the 28 Buddhas might be a later addition if they use the main Nikayas as a reference point. But if you want to talk about, you want to take in the Mahayana Sutras, the Mahayana Tipitakas as a reference point, then the Buddha Vamsa might be a doorway to show that this Bodhisattva or Bodhisattva path might be the holistic kind of training, and the Nikayas, the main Nikayas, might be heavily censored. So these are the 2 possibilities.
Bante.
Okay, all right. Next, any questions?
Bante, this question from I'm just curious to know if by listening to all the chanting of the suttas instead of chanting ourselves, would there be any benefit?
The benefit would come if a person generate right thought.
While listening?
Yeah, either listening or chanting.
Or either listening or chanting.
If they can reduce greed and hatred, they can generate skillful qualities, then that is good lah.
Or not just merely letting let the chanting play on, but you are not paying attention to it.
Yeah, that's right. If we are not paying attention, we're not reflecting, we're not generating any good thoughts, then no good karma.
Yes, recently, this question. A friend of mine, she practiced Tibetan Buddhism.
Mm-hmm.
Then he was telling me that, I cannot sit because of the obstacles and everything in me. Then she was telling me, one day I bring you to the puja and our meditation. Our meditation don't need to think one. Don't think of anything. I recall what you said to us. Don't need to think anything. Yeah, because actually them they thought that I cannot think because I don't practice as what they think. Yeah. But actually it's more on my own that my thyroxine is not working properly because the doctor just adjusted the dosage not long ago for 10.
Okay.
So, my body is still adjusting because after some time then the doctor realized that the correct.
Okay.
So it's got nothing to do with whether what I do during meditation. So yeah, that one day you say during meditation, not so bored, right? Correct.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So she was telling me the other thing that I should not be thinking of anything. Everything should let go. I said, yeah, you let go in a way, right? But I really don't understand where it's coming from. So now I really recall your words that yeah, there are people who think that in meditation you don't need to think of anything.
Yeah, because there are many kinds of meditation, and if they are, it's either they follow the Noble Eightfold Path or they don't follow the Noble Eightfold Path. That's about it.
So the Tibetan, what sort of meditation are they practicing when they don't think of anything? They say they trench on anything, then they can sleep very well.
From what I hear, because I'm not an expert, from what I hear, probably their initial kind of meditation is to open up the chakras.
But even opening up the chakras, if I were to do yoga, I can do that. Yeah, because these days I never wake up enough. That's why I cannot find time to do my yoga. Yeah, we have the deep breathing meditation that we can also open up the chakra. Yeah, but now it's a matter of I have to wait till my body adjusts to the medicine. Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
So yeah, I'm thinking how does this meditation derive? You don't need to think of anything in your mind.
Yeah. So regardless of medication or not medication, we still can generate right thought. So you can choose to, in the medicated state, feel angry and depressed, or you can feel yourself with loving kindness. So we go for the wiser option.
Yeah, fortunately, I don't feel agitated. Even I cannot sleep. Cannot get to sleep early in the night. I still feel fine. That there's no problem in me, because I know that everything takes time. You need patience. Yeah. Thank you, Bhante.
Okay, no problem. Okay, any other issues or questions? Okay, if not, then we are going to have a 5-minute break. Then we come back for the guided meditation. So see you all later. So while waiting for the rest to return, anyone else still have any issues? Who is in blur after the presentation?
Yeah, Bhante, a bit confusing.
Yeah. So it's
then you also find then how should I practice this? Then should I practice that? But then ultimately we just practice to reduce our greed, hatred, and delusion can already. The rest not important, right?
Yeah, so regardless of the either Mahayana or Theravada path, either you choose to be you aim, right? You aim to be a Sammasambuddha, you aim to be a whatever version of the Buddha, or a Sawaka or silent Buddha. Somehow the stages are like the same, or rather the path of sainthood is the common point. There's still a commonality. Right? So it's either you take longer time or shorter time, and I think we may not really have a choice in this, because the probability of having a Buddha in just one universe alone is so few. The probability is so small. It's like there are countless beings, but only one Buddha can appear at one time. Right? So it's not like a job where you can have everybody to take part. It's like maybe one country only can have one president, something like that. You can have everybody become a president.
How can I naturally fall asleep?
Naturally fall asleep. Okay, then that one is really don't do anything. Yeah, when you don't do anything, then you just must enjoy the comfort of your bed.
Oh,
Mm.
but no high bed, right? Bante?
No high what?
You say no high bed, no luxurious bed.
Yeah, lah, because you need to either that, or if you're really exhausted, you're busy, you have lots of work, then naturally you'll be tired, right? You just
No,
lie
but
down and
I
get knocked
think
out.
the other way around. If I'm too busy that day, in fact, I don't seem to be able to really go naturally in the sleep. Yeah.
Yeah, so some of the issues that some people cannot sleep is probably the last few moments, maybe the 10, 20, 30 minutes. If let's say you're still using your electronic gadgets or you're scrolling your phone, then that will create lots of imprint in the mind. Yeah? So we try to not do anything, blank, and slowly cool down. Yeah.
One thing, how do I share merits with my grandson?
Okay, for marriage, usually the hungry ghost is more effective.
Oh, okay.
Targeting hungry ghost. So for for rest of the realms, it's more like you can do it just encouragement only lah. Okay, then I have no issues. We're going to start. Find a comfortable sitting posture. Make sure your back is upright and the rest of the body relaxed. Okay, and the first thing we're going to do is visualize. Visualize the body, learn to let go of the body, and the impurities of the body meditation. And starting with all the hairs of the head, hairs of the body, and we're going to wish them well and happy. Every time we generate a new image, that image is called, at least in this routine, part of mindfulness of the body. And the parts of the body, like the hairs, and when you label it, you wish it well and happy, that's part of right thought. And when you keep repeating, that's part of right effort. And this right effort is part of the 5 powers also. Yeah, important to have this effort, part of the Eightfold Path, part of the perfection in this energy, virya. And when there is enough wakefulness, enough energy, then the mind can discern, can look out for Any changes in the state of mind? Is the mind scattered? Is the mind settled down? And if you find your mind quite settled down, so that's interesting point, right? You generate thoughts, generate effort, but you can calm the mind. So that's called skillful means of calming the mind. So you have another unskillful means of resting the mind, which is go to sleep, lor. That is the no need skill one. Right, so now we're using skill, applying skill to calm the mind. And once the mind is calm, then we can reflect on impermanence. So all these hairs go through birth, aging, sickness, and passing away. So you think of them growing and falling, many, many cycles. And we can keep looping this process. And if you want, you can observe the arising and passing of the 5 aggregates. So this practice of watching the hairs growing and falling is not to train the hairs. It's to understand the nature of clinging and unclinging. In fact, you don't need to even investigate the 5 aggregates. Just keep observing the hairs growing and falling, growing and falling. How does clinging lead to the sense of self? And how does reducing clinging lead to reducing the sense of self? It is because of this self, then I will feel pain, I will suffer, I go through samsara. Okay, then we can ask ourselves, are these hairs truly self? Can we tell the hairs not to go through birth and death? And next we can think of the nails, fingernails and toenails. May they be well and happy. And all these nails go through birth, aging, sickness, and passing away. So we think of them growing and falling, many, many cycles. And as we keep looping this process, can observe this sense of self, and this ego, is it increasing or decreasing? We can ask ourselves, are these nails truly self? Can we tell the nails not to go through birth and death? And we can think of the teeth, all the teeth inside the mouth. May they be well and happy. And all these teeth are subject to birth, aging, sickness, and passing away. So you think of them growing and falling, many, many cycles. And as we keep looping this process, we can observe this sense of self, and this selfishness or this ego. Is it increasing or decreasing? We can ask ourselves, are these teeth truly self? Can we tell the teeth not to go through this birth and death? Next, we can think of the skin. We wish all the skin from head to toe well and happy. And all this skin are subject to birth, aging, sickness, and passing away. So you think of this skin growing and falling, many cycles. And as we keep looping this process, we can observe this sense of self. Is it increasing or decreasing? And we can ask ourselves, are the skin truly self? Can we tell the skin not to go through birth and death? So the next phase of meditation, we are practicing this loving kindness, the immeasurables. But before that, we familiarize ourselves with the 4 element sensations. So from this routine onwards, there is no need to visualize. We are just feeling sensations. So basically, there's no need to create the sensations, no need to imagine. We are using real-time evidence. Whatever sensation appear, then we just wish them well and happy. So the 4 elements are just general categories of sensations: earth, fire, wind, water. Earth represents any hard or soft sensations. Fire is hot and cold. Wind is fast, slow movements. And water is moist or dry. So we let them appear naturally by themselves. And all we need to do is just make peace with them, wish them well and happy. Same with feelings. It can be painful feelings, uncomfortable feelings, or nice feelings. Whatever feelings, whatever sensation appear, we make peace with them, wish them well and happy. Okay, if mind is settled down or calm, then we take note of this emotion, or remember this emotion. We call this the baseline emotion, or the restricted form of loving kindness. So usually this point is very bland, nothing unique. And what we're going to do now is cultivate this boundless loving kindness. And we're going to wish all beings in all directions well and happy. So there is no need to push the mind. We let it expand naturally by itself. However far I wish to extend doesn't matter. And within that increased area of attention, whatever sensation you may detect, we are going to wish all beings well and happy. So this time is to wish all beings. So there's no need to visualize. In fact, I don't encourage visualization. Once you visualize a certain group of people, persons, or species, the mind will stereotype and will, based on certain past experiences, and you generate a certain emotion, a restricted form of loving kindness. So we are going to use the non-discriminative approach. All beings are made up of this lowest common denominator, the 4 elements and the 5 aggregates. So whatever sensation you detect, we are going to wish all beings well and happy. So all beings are made of these elements. Any sensation appear, may all beings be well and happy. New sensation appear, may all beings be well and happy. So we're going to cultivate this boundless loving kindness. If let's say all the conditions are right, you have all the right thought, right effort, everything, it will activate this right concentration. So this loving kindness, the first sublime state, may lead to the first level of concentration, which is this state of mind which has this emotion of joy and happiness. So if there's any increment of joy and happiness compared to the baseline emotion, then that will indicate this state of mind. So that is the part of the renunciation. And regardless of what you experience, keep on wishing all beings well and happy. Treat everything else as byproduct. And now we're going to add some wisdom, some insight. We're going to reflect on impermanence. So all these sensations, they arise and pass away every moment. So we keep observing these sensations and keep labeling impermanence. Or you can use whatever label associated with impermanence. You can use rising and falling, anicca, and the whole idea is keep repeating. Okay, let's say the joy and happiness start to disappear. And one may experience this neutral and refreshing kind of experience. We call that equanimity, normally associated with the fourth level of concentration. And regardless of what you experience, keep reflecting on impermanence, treat everything else as a byproduct. And in that state of mind, we can also reflect on the impermanent nature of the five aggregates. So the elements you observe, earth, fire, wind, water, that's the form aggregate. And together in that form, there's also feelings. Whether you find it pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral, that's the feeling aggregate. Are the feelings the same? Are they changing? Do you like all the sensations all the time? And the third aggregate is called perception. So perception is basically the usage of memory, basically our past memories, to try to make sense of the stimuli we are experiencing. So why do we call this the earth element? Why do we call this the fire element? Because of perception. And the fourth aggregate is called mental formation. Every time a new experience appears, and that's a new mental formation, new aggregate, new element, new feeling, that's part of new mental formation. And lastly, the one is fifth aggregate is consciousness, basically your attention. When you're aware of the sensations, that's the body consciousness. If you're hearing my sound, and that's the ear consciousness. Is the attention always the same? Is it changing? Is the quality of the attention the same? How is this awareness intertwined with the elements? Okay, due to time constraint, we're going to have a gentle reminder that as long as we maintain this boundless, sublime state in all activities, standing, sitting, walking, or lying down, then this is the noblest living. And with that, we can gently open our eyes, formally end the session, informally still can generate right thought. Okay, any issues or questions from anyone? Alright, if there's no problems, then we're going to end off with the dedication chant. Anumodana. Akasata japumata devanaga mahidika punyang tang anumoditva cirang rakantu loka sasanang etavata ca amhihi sampadang punya sampadang sabbe deva sabbe puta sabbe sata anumodantu sabba sampati siddhya. Dedication of merits to departed. Idang me nyatinang hotu sukhita hontu nyatayo. Idang me nyatinang hotu sukhita hontu nyatayo. Idang me nyatinang hotu sukhita hontu nyatayo. Aspiration. Imina punya kamena mame bala samagamo satang samagamo hotu yavani bana patiya. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. And we end off by paying respects to the Buddha by bowing 3 times. First bow. Second bow. Third bow. Okay, yeah, that's it. Any another announcements from Terence? If not, then we'll see you next week for the closed non-live stream session on Zoom. Okay, have a good night.